this just in from Dave McMenamin. LeBron James expects to stay with the Lakers through the season. I'm so glad that we got that information. I was losing sleep thinking about whether or not LeBron was actually going to get traded here before the trade deadline. I mean, what are we doing? What are we freaking doing, man? I don't know. Maybe I'm just I've been on a LeBron like hatred kick here the last couple of days. That fake charade of crying in Cleveland before that game last week, getting the All-Star nod over Kawhi, even though he doesn't deserve it. Obviously playing at the Garden, and a guy like I love, like Ben Stiller, saying, "Oh, we're gonna miss LeBron so much when he's done." No, we're not. No, we're not. He spurned us. He spurned us a decade ago. I'll never get over it. I'll never forgive him. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. All right, let's talk with Mike Golic Jr. here, host of Golic and Golic on the FanDuel Sports Network. Notre Dame football alum. We've got an Irish in the household here. Find him on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr. Mike, it's Pat and Brett. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Good to talk to you guys, and good to hear the big LeBron feelings get aired out here. This is good. That felt cathartic.
It is. It is. It definitely is. I need to get it off my chest. I got the Knicks shirt on and everything. And, just like, from Superbad, right? Go pee your pants again. That was like 6th grade. Yeah, people don't forget. People don't forget about LeBron James spurning the New York Knicks. So, Mike, we just had a debate about this on the show a few segments ago, getting ready for Super Bowl 60. We've analyzed both of these teams and broken them down in just about every which way possible. But when you look at the head coaches, Mike Vrabel for New England, Mike Macdonald for Seattle, who would you say has done a more impressive job this year? The betting odds suggest that Vrabel is going to probably win Coach of the Year, but Brad and I know a lot of people think that Macdonald should get the nod for having done a better job. But what do you think? Who was the better head coach this year? I know it's a tough question, but if you had to pick, who do you think's done a better job?
Yeah, I'd probably, if we're just siphoning it down to the two of them, because I think real arguments can be made for Kyle Shanahan in this sphere too, given what they weathered as far as the injury bug in San Francisco for another year. But if I was just going between these two, I'd probably say Vrabel just because, I don't know, the bones of what were there when he got there, the vision that had to take place between him and management to make this happen, and then the ability to get the most out of a young quarterback. Now, you could argue with Sam Darnold, with what Mike Macdonald and company did on the other side, and the fact that with Mike, like, you've got a more tangible thing to point to for us on the outside to say, well, we know he mans the helm on the defense. We know the defense got better in a hurry. He recreated all the same parts that he had in Baltimore with that team that was great when he was there, certainly dropped off when he left. So you've got that direct cause and effect with him that it makes it a lot easier for us. But I also think there's something to the fact of the pressure that Vrabel walked into in a place that he knew well, won as a player, and was taking over for a guy that had just recently failed. The pressure that had been mounting there since the end of the Brady era and all of that. And I don't know, just knowing what we know about Mike Vrabel now through multiple stops and seeing that on display again, kind of like with Sean Payton, where in a different way, hey, we saw him in one context for years with Drew Brees. Now we're seeing it again in Denver without all of that. And I think you get a richer appreciation. And I know for Mike Vrabel, who I never thought should have been fired in Tennessee to begin with, to see the way that he's come back to a place he knew this well and has been able to completely change the way that this team goes about his business and make it mimic the predecessor a lot more, I think I'd give the slight edge to him.
Mike, Brett Evans here, man. Thanks for joining us. We talked to Mark Schlereth earlier in the show tonight, and he agreed with my belief. The ground game will be absolutely critical in this contest on Sunday. Where do you stand on who gains the upper hand in the trenches in this year's Super Bowl? You got to go with Kenneth Walker III in Seattle or Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson with New England? Who do you got?
Well, I'd probably, if I'm going to include everyone, maybe give a slight edge to what New England's able to do also with Drake May as a part of that, because I think that's going to be important against this defense. It's been important all postseason long, and if you factor in what's been statistically in the regular season, one of the best scrambling quarterbacks in the NFL, regardless of tenure, that's certainly a big part of it there. So I'd probably say that also just because, hey, I think the Charbonnet injury now is going to also be something that continues to have an effect there. Can you lean him on him in the same way the whole game? Will the pass protection issues show up in a big moment against a very good Patriots defensive front too? So I might give a slight edge to New England, and that just also accounting for, hey, you've also got a plus runner at quarterback in a way that's going to be very necessary against this stout front for Seattle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Drake May's legs are certainly going to be an X factor in this year's Super Bowl. Mike, I'm a hardcore gambler, man. I love betting on player props. I love them like a child. I'm a big fantasy football nerd, so it's a perfect blend of the gaming aspect of things, so to speak. Any player props in this Super Bowl that have caught your eye, and preferably give me something with plus money?
Well, I don't remember what the odds were on it, but I think I saw one of the most bet props right now is over 2.5 players to attempt a pass in this game, which I always think is a fun one to look at and hear. Like, my favorite part of broadcasting games, I call college football games, but going down the depth chart and finding out who played quarterback in high school that's not playing quarterback in college. So you kind of know where to have your eyes trained for some funny business. And I think having a conversation earlier today, with some people about this game is you get to these big games like this and who might have the earned courage, the arrogance in those spots to be able to go out there and do that. It was Matt Hasselbeck talking about it and pointed out that, hey, Josh McDaniel has plenty of pelts on the wall when it comes to big moments in big games, coordinating offense for this team. And so might he have the gall to, hey, if things are pretty tight early and you got to find a way to manufacture one of those big plays against the defense that's been like trying to bang your head against a brick wall, would he not go that route? So I always think that one's interesting in a game of this magnitude. Lord knows the Patriots have been a part of a very famous game that involved a non-quarterback throwing one of the more famous passes in Super Bowl history. So could be something to keep an eye on there, and one that I thought was pretty fun.
Yeah, we got Mike Golic Jr. with us here on BetMGM tonight. He's Brad Evans. I'm Pat Boyle. Mike, host of Golic and Golic with his dad, Mike Golic Sr. on the FanDuel Sports Network, Notre Dame alum. Going to ask him about the Irish here in just a bit. Definitely wanted to ask you about your favorite coaching hire of the NFL offseason. I don't know how much you care about this. We just got breaking news here a minute ago. The Clippers are indeed trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick, so that's pretty big news. If you want to comment on that, you can. But in terms of the football stuff here, 10 NFL head coach vacancies in the offseason. All 10 are filled, assuming Clint Kubiak and Mike LaFleur do take the jobs in Vegas and Arizona. What would you say was your favorite, Mike? Or if you just thought one was really bad, I guess maybe your most eye-opening or your most what's the word I'm looking for here? Your most eye-popping NFL head coach news filling here in this offseason, in this vacancy.
Yeah, I'll go through both of those. The James Harden trade's interesting to me because I think we know pretty thoroughly who this player is at this point. So if you're Cleveland looking to make the jump over the hump in the postseason that's existed for you, we've kind of seen James Harden's not the guy that's going to make that happen. But I know there's potentially some salary reasons that could help Cleveland out going forward behind this. So, I understand it. This is the scorpion and the frog. James Harden will do this to Cleveland before, the years are over, and around and round will go on that. I think one of the most interesting hires this offseason is going to prove to once again be Cleveland. Like, I just am amazed at this organization's complete lack of grasp on what it's supposed to do. You hear all through the hiring process about how they're eyeing a candidate who will be someone keen on potentially retaining Jim Schwartz if he's not given the job. Then they hire Todd Monken, and you hear reports that Jim Schwartz takes his stuff, gets out of the office, tells everyone bye, and says, I'm done. Then you hear reports from Mary Kay Cabot and others that reconciliation might be something on the table, might be possible. Who wouldn't want to come back and have a defense with Myles Garrett on it and a bunch of money, I'm sure, to go along with it? Then Todd Monken gets up at the press conference today and says what we heard about, hey, when we were game planning against Cleveland, I didn't chip Jim Schwartz. I chipped Myles Garrett, and I was excited about working with these players. Like, there just seems to be no one on the same page with how this is supposed to go in the front office. And it's once again, I think, going to leave this team in a pretty precarious spot where once the well went dry on the number 2 quarterback in this year's draft, Cleveland all of a sudden found themselves in a really difficult spot where you didn't get an heir apparent out of the bargain bin last year when you went shopping for a couple of young quarterbacks. I think you've still got a ton of other needs on this roster. You're going to need to probably bring in a veteran because I don't think any of the guys in this draft are ones that, even with a flyer outside of the first round, you can realistically trust to be the answer for this new regime going forward. So it just seems to be another reminder of why this franchise has really struggled to find its footing in a number of years, because it doesn't seem like the decision makers ever quite have a handle on what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep, well said. I totally agree with that point of view. Mike, go ahead and read the tarot cards, mi amigo, and hopefully they're going to be ultra accurate. Give me your game pick on Sunday between the Patriots and the Seahawks. Give me a game score prediction, and who wins the MVP? What do you got?
Oh, all right. I'll go JSN Super Bowl MVP. I think the Seahawks are going to win this one. I think their deep passing attack's been the key all year long. I think both these defenses are really good. Like, I think this could be one of those games where it's 24-17 Seahawks win, and they manage to go out there and I think cover that number. I thought 4.5 was a good number on this when that line came out, and it seems to have held pretty steady there. I think I'm not going to continue to do the thing where we just call the Patriots schedule merchants. It's a really good team, a defense that's flipped the script in the postseason, an offense that's weathered some of the best defenses in the NFL along the way, and through different circumstances. Weather-wise, they found a way through. Injury has certainly aided them. We've seen plenty of other teams in other sports aided by that as well. But ultimately, I think the way Seattle built this team along both lines of scrimmage, how well that defense has played consistently all year long is ultimately going to be too much for a Patriots offensive line that, call it what it is. Will Campbell hasn't been the same since injury. He's certainly struggled, and he's kind of been, I think, the new leader of that group and what they brought him there to do. And so I think all that leads to us getting to see a sight that I don't think any of us ever thought we'd see after the first tenure with the Jets of Sam Darnold holding a Lombardi trophy.
Love it.
That's good. That's good. Well, Mike Golic Jr. here for about another 2 to 3 minutes, host of Golic and Golic on the FanDuel Sports Network. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr. Mike, let's finish with a program that's near and dear to your heart, shall we? A little Notre Dame football. I'm a diehard fan. Tough season. It gets screwed not making the college football playoff, only to watch Miami get all the way to the Natty, watch Alabama snake their way in to get annihilated by Indiana. And then we get the swirling rumors Marcus Freeman might leave to take an NFL job, maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought that had some real legs to it for a second. I don't know about you, but Marcus Freeman staying. ND is poised to make the college football playoff. I mean, let's be honest, every year now because of that agreement they have, the NCAA basically guaranteeing them that they're going to get in if they finish ranked 12th or higher. I got to be honest. As somebody that fights off Notre Dame haters every year about how badly the CFP committee wants them in, I don't think Notre Dame needed that. But either way, the Irish are going to be title contenders next year. What do you make of the 2025, this past season as a whole? And then just one quick one here, part B, looking ahead to 2026, open with Wisconsin at Lambeau. How freaking cool is that going to be?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I do think it is funny, though, like the outsize, and I understand how the playoff field works. I know how the trapdoor teams got taken out by the ACC champ and the group of 5 champs who weren't in the top 12 teams or whatever. Like, I understand all that. But the notion that Notre Dame is the bad guy because a team ranked in the top 12 would make the 12-team playoff is kind of funny considering the amount of people that complained that the group of 5 teams that were out of the top 12 made the college football playoff this year. And to be clear, I wasn't one of those people, but just logically, it seems a little inconsistent. The 25 Notre Dame team missed its opportunities early in a way that is, I think, interesting for Notre Dame to monitor going forward. This was a team that took a few games, really up till the Purdue game, to get back to being who it was defensively with Chris Ash taking over as coordinator. And all the talk last year was continuity, position coaches returning at every level on defense, just a new coordinator, but Marcus Freeman's going to soften the blow, and you'll worry about your new quarterback. And then a funny thing happened. The quarterback came in right away. It was almost pretty great. And the defense took a little while to find its footing before ultimately settling into the stuff that it did last year. So I think Notre Dame, the schedule being front-loaded is the thing they're going to have to monitor now. Being an independent, having the ACC agreement means sometimes they're going to have to play those games like USC wanted at the beginning of the season. What bodes well for 2026 Notre Dame is the continuity looks different now. Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman, I think, have a better handle on things, but you've hockey line changed all the position coaches below it now. Charlie Partridge, who Chris Ash worked with before, coming over to coach the D-line. Now you got a vacancy at linebacker that's getting ready to get filled after Al Washington leave. Mike Mickens, who's been hand-in-hand with Marcus Freeman in turning around this Notre Dame secondary completely, gives way to a new hire there as well with familiarity with Chris Ash. But you've got all the talent in the world on this team. You got a quarterback who's going to be a Heisman contender. You've got the best defensive back in football this year in Leonard Moore coming back, and a treasure trove of guys you brought into the portal in a different way now because admissions wants to start letting Notre Dame play ball a little bit, take some undergraduate transfers. Not a thing that had happened in a lot of my lifetime for Notre Dame. But the biggest point for them is how the schedule breaks out. You pointed out Wisconsin could be improved this year under Luke Fickell. We'll see. That neutral site game, all those different things. But you're not starting the season with your two hardest games anymore this year. And you look at the way Notre Dame's schedule crescendos. You have the BYU game on the road before the bye, which will be tough. But then after that, you're going to get your games against SMU. You're going to get your game at home against Miami that I think is all of a sudden in line with when you want to be playing the best teams, when you'll be playing your best football late in the season there. So the schedule lines up for them. We know the criticism of it outside of those few marquee games. It's a schedule that's built for a team to make a run of the college football playoff and potentially be a fresher team because of the path you've gone through at that point. So if not now, then when? I think the mantra this year is leave no doubt from the folks in South Bend. And I think they've got everything they need to do just that.
Mike, great stuff, man. Appreciate the time. Well, by the way, we asked Mark Schlereth this last hour. I want to ask you as well. Any fun plans for Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, or are you just chilling?
So I will be out there. I'm heading out to San Fran Friday night, and then me and Dad this year did the pregame and halftime radio on Westwood One for Monday Night Football, and so with that in mind, we're going to be out there doing the 2-hour pregame show from FanFest outside of the stadium before that game. And then I've never actually been inside to the Super Bowl. Dad covered a couple on the sideline with Westwood One in the last couple of years. So I'm going to go in and actually see the game, watch these two teams get after it. So you can check us out pregame on radio wherever you listen to Westwood One, obviously. And then you can maybe see me somewhere stumbling around on the sideline in the pregame, trying to get out of the way of the important people.
Fantastic.
Hell yeah. Beautiful, man. Great coming together here. Westwood One Sports. And we got Mike Golic Jr. and Mike Golic Sr. Westwood One Sports pregame, halftime stuff for the Super Bowl. Cannot wait. That's going to be awesome. Enjoy the game. I've never been inside the actual game itself, inside the actual stadium to watch the game. So that'll be fun. Cannot wait. I don't know about you. I can't wait for the Bad Bunny halftime show either. That's going to be phenomenal. So, all right. Hey, Mike, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the game. Go Irish, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
There you go. Mike Golic Jr., host of Golic and Golic on the FanDuel Sports Network. And like you said, listen to Westwood One Sports. Hear the pregame. Him and Mike Golic Sr., the great Notre Dame alum, Mike Golic Jr. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Golic Jr.